Hi there, this is David, and welcome to New RPG News. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Trinity Trigger, some Octopath Traveler 2 news, a Breath of Fire spiritual successor, Dragon Quest, but we're going to be starting off with some bad news, unfortunately, about Tri-Ace, a pretty long-running company that originated back in, I want to say, 95, 96, from some disenchanted employees of Namco. They were developing Tales of Fantasia together, and then they kind of had some differences, and then Tri-Ace was formed and they began with Star Ocean. But now they're announcing huge losses that they might actually even be in bankruptcy right now. It says that their fiscal year report has dropped 42.9%. That's a ton. That's a lot of money that they've lost over the course of 1 year. And they're saying that the reason for this is because basically Square Enix shut down their mobile game. They had some sort of gacha free-to-play mobile game called Star Ocean Animesis, and they shut it down globally in 2019, but then locally in Japan on June 24th of 2021, and that was pretty much their cash cow, so I don't know why they shut it down. So Tri-Ace had to go and pretty much develop Star Ocean: The Divine Force with no income at all. So this really is their kind of Final Fantasy. We've all heard that story back in the 80s, that Square Enix was on the verge of bankruptcy. Well, actually, it was Square at the time. They were on the verge of bankruptcy at the time. They were developing other games. I remember they developed like Rad Racer and things like that, but they were basically on the verge of bankruptcy, but everybody got together and they were like, you know what, we want to make this one game. It's going to be our final game. It's going to be called Final Fantasy, and this is going to be it. You know, we're going to go out with a bang. But Final Fantasy was a huge success, and it launched Square Enix into stardom. And hopefully that's going to be the case here with Star Ocean: The Divine Force. From what I've played of it, it looks really, really good. I really, really like it. I've only played the demo so far, but it is going to be released October 27th of this year, and I will implore you, if you like Tri-Ace, if you like Star Ocean, if you like anything that they've ever created before in the past, go out and buy this game and help support this studio. Apparently they need it, because if this game bombs like the 5th game, then Tri-Ace is just pretty much done for. It also says at the bottom of the article that it says the last console games that Tri-Ace has worked on were the remasters of Residents of Fate and the 4th entry, The Last Hope. The studio may have not had a direct hand in the newer remasters of Star Ocean: First Departure R and Valkyria Profile Lenneth, because those titles do not exist on Tri-Ace's portfolio. So yeah, they're pretty much only they're pouring every last thing that they have into the Divine Force to try to make this successful, and I really do hope that it is successful so that they don't, go out of business. And now we have some Dragon Quest Treasure news. This is coming out on December 9th of this year, and it is probably my personally most anticipated game of the rest of the year. I love Dragon Quest. It is my favorite series of all time. It has been since I played it when I was 7 years old, back in '89. But, yeah, Dragon Quest Treasures. This is starring Eric and Mia of Dragon Quest XI fame, and this started off as like a Dragon Quest Monsters game, but it kind of turned into its own thing. And they've basically released just a bunch of screenshots and a bunch of news in English and in Japanese. It talks about that you can form your own gang, name your gang. That's just basically, your team name, essentially. You can create like your own little flag to represent your people. You get to see your little treasure trove and all of that. It's kind of cool. The various people in the gang are the monsters that you go out and you recruit, just like in a Dragon Warrior Monsters game. But it looks like it's completely like you have this whole world to go out and explore. It's not linear like a lot of the other Dragon Quest Monsters games were. Talks about what you can do at your home base, the people that you can talk to. You can kind of warp and teleport to different areas, the monsters that set up shop at your base. It's just pretty cool. I like this. It has your little treasure vault. You can see right here, this is like Erdrick's armor right there. Looks like maybe that's like the final key or the ultimate key. Look at that. Guess who that is? That's a certain little fortune teller from Dragon Quest IV. Got Birdsong Nectar, also from Dragon Quest IV. So yeah, it kind of values your treasure and all that. You can organize your party at your base. It's just, you know, normal stuff. But this article goes really in depth into what you can actually do at your base, and just gives you just a little insight into what you are going to be getting into in this game. And I personally cannot wait to play this. There's your gang, there's rival gangs out to like steal your treasure, and you gotta go beat them up, maybe steal their treasure. So it's like you're almost, you know, pirates going out and getting all that treasure and stuff. This looks like just such a fun time. I cannot wait to play it. This is going to be like a Christmas gift to myself, I think. Now we have Trinity Trigger Day 1 Edition announced for North America. Trinity Trigger. Just as Dragon Quest Treasures was or is my most anticipated game of this year, Trinity Trigger thus far is probably my most anticipated game of next year. This is essentially a spiritual successor of Secret of Mana or Trials of Mana. Not really going off into the weirder mana entries like Legend of Mana or Dawn of Mana or Circle or Children of Mana or all these other of Manas. This is going back to the basics of Secret of Mana. And there is a Day 1 edition. So you can buy the standard, regular, normal edition for the PlayStation 5, 4, or Switch for $50. Or you can spend only $10 more and you can get a really nice edition. That's how these collector's editions should be. It should be, you know, just $10 more and you get something just a little bit nicer. It shouldn't be hundreds of dollars more to get something nicer, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But anyway, if you do spend that $10 more with the Day 1 edition, you get a softcover art book containing over 100 pages of game artwork, and you also get a custom box. It's going to be published by Xseed Games, and you can see just how beautiful these are. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to be getting. Oh, it also goes with the 2-disc soundtrack. I was just looking at that. A 2-disc soundtrack. Really cool. I always get these soundtracks and I never actually listen to them. I'll probably get Switch just because, you know, portability and all that kind of stuff. Although it might not run all that well on the Switch, but we'll see. That's probably what I'm going to get. I've talked about Trinity Trigger before, and I am just so looking forward to it. It's absolutely gorgeous. 8 weapons, just like in Secret of Mana. This is gonna be so good. I cannot wait. Now we have some Octopath Traveler 2 news for the Collector's Edition. The Collector's Edition is available on the Switch, PS4, and PS5. You can buy like the regular standard edition for, what is it, $69, $59, something like that. Or you can shell out $180, I know, for this collector's edition. So let's see what we actually get here with this edition. It comes with this really beautiful box, I've got to say. This absolutely gorgeous box right here. And then the actual game itself, of course. It comes with an art album, which is hardcover as well as a soundtrack. So far, we're looking at the Trinity Trigger pre-order that basically it gets you a box, it gets you a softcover art album, and it gets you a soundtrack, all for $10 more than the price. This is $110 more than the price. So what else do you get? I guess the $110 is going towards these little doohickeys down here, which are like cast iron buffs of the various characters. Right there, you can see them all. So those are quite gorgeous, I must say. They're very, very nicely done. They don't look to be like the size of Monopoly pieces or anything, like they're not teeny tiny. I was reading through the article, and they're actually about 3 inches wide by 4 inches tall, so they are a good size. But I still don't know if I'm going to be willing to shell out almost $200, probably with shipping and everything else, probably $200, just for these. You know, it just seems a bit much. But it is Octopath Traveler 2. And I don't know, sometimes I get obsessed about these things. Maybe I'll do this as a Christmas gift to myself as well. I don't know. It looks gorgeous. I would love to have it, but is it $200 worth? I don't know. So yeah, it just, the article down here goes into more in-depth information about what you actually get, but it just seems like some companies are pricing their collector's editions appropriately, and some companies aren't. So, I don't know. I mean, it does look nice, don't get me wrong, but is it $200 nice? I don't know. And the final thing that I want to talk about today is this game on Kickstarter called Tears of Magic. This is a Breath of Fire spiritual successor. It says fantasy RPG where you play as a dragon in a beautiful pixel art 2.5D world with rich story, colorful characters, and fluid mechanics. The opening to me, I was watching this whole video here, the opening to me looks a lot like Breath of Fire 3. Their goal in order to get this funded is roughly $90,000. It started about 5 or so days ago, and they've raised about $24,000. So they're not doing that hot on this Kickstarter. Personally, to me, I don't know how to say this, but we all know that Suikoden Revival is coming out, that Wild Arms Revival is coming out, that Shadow Hearts Revival is coming out, and that even Konami was so impressed by how good Eiyuden Chronicle is doing that they themselves are like, hey, we're going to go ahead and remaster Suikoden 1 and 2. It's so convenient timing that they're doing that, you know, to ride off the coattails of Eiyuden Chronicles, but whatever. So it looks like this Tears of Magic is trying to maybe cash in on this kind of retro RPG nostalgia train that we have going on right now, and good for them, because Breath of Fire needs a revival. It really does. I love Breath of Fire, and unfortunately Capcom seems to be ignoring it. So looking at this game and looking at what they have ready for us so far, there's not a lot. I'm going to be honest with you, there's not a lot there. This is still in the very early stages of development. It looks much more like Breath of Fire 3 than any of the other Breath of Fire games. And because it's so early in development, I can't be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be fantastic, it's going to be so great. I'm very hesitant about this because I don't know how well it's going to do. I don't know how well it's going to be. You can see some of the graphics right here. You can see a little bit of the gameplay right there as well. I mean, yeah, it looks nice, but we don't really get to see any battle systems or anything else like that. If anything, I think that the best case scenario for this game is that it gets funded and that it gets Capcom's attention, and that Capcom says, hey, you know what, there's a market for Breath of Fire, and maybe they go back and they remaster or re-release some old games, or even better, they create new Breath of Fire games. So that to me is best case scenario right there. But I'm just letting you all be aware that this Kickstarter exists, that this is a thing. And if you want to go back and support it, you have 26 days left to do so. Hopefully, again, it does get funded because, you know, more games is always a good thing. I don't know how good the game's going to be because, again, there's not a lot of gameplay being shown, but, you know, more games are always a good thing. So, let me know what you guys think about the news. Let me know if there's any news that you want me to cover for next week. And as always, have a good day.